Okay, so we're looking at factoring a couple of expressions. First one is x squared plus 8x plus 16. First thing we do is we look at 16. And we ask ourselves what pairs of numbers multiply out to 16. There's a more elegant way of saying it, what pairs of numbers would have a product of 16, but I'll use the word multiply out just to make sure everybody understands what I'm talking about. Now, you can try this. Well, I'm going to do this in a very fundamental way. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. There's a pair. Okay. And then let's see. 16 divided by 3 equals 5.33, so 5 1/3. So you can't pair up anything with 3 to get 16, right? And you probably know better than that. So you just cross that out. 16 divided by 4 equals 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. And then you can try different numbers. 16 divided by 5, 16 divided by 6. Nothing else is going to work. Now, so the pairs of numbers that you get. First of all, 16 times 1. Got to consider that. 16 equals 8 times 2. 16 equals 4 times 4. Well, there's a lot more I could say about this, and there are ways to do the prime factorization and take the prime factorization and figure out what all the factors would be, but we're not going to get into that. Unfortunately, we just don't have time to do that. But anyhow, this works, okay? So now, and what we're doing is we're taking, okay, x squared plus 8x plus 16. This is what we're trying to factor. The reason we looked at the numbers that multiply up to 16 is, well, we're going to see in a minute. Okay, so now. We're going to try x plus 16 times x plus 1. And then we're going to try x plus 8 times x plus 2. And then we're going to try x plus 4 times x plus 4. And we're going to multiply each of these up and see what each one equals and see if one of them happens to equal this. So go ahead and multiply those out. Okay, now you did pretty well with this. You know how to do this. You know that the x squared plus 16, or x plus 16 multiplied by x plus 1. Is x squared plus 16x plus x plus 1. And of course, we add that up, and I didn't leave myself room to write it, and it's x squared plus 17x plus 16. So if we compare that with what we're trying to get, which is this, I wrote up here, it's marked out, and I moved the board. X squared plus 8x plus 16. We got the x squared, we got the 16, but we sure don't have the 8x, do we? So 16 and 1, and again 16 and 1, because that's how we, that's one of the products that equals 16. It works to give us 16. It'll always work to give us 16 if we use two numbers that multiply out to 16. Question is, do those numbers combine to give us the 8x that we want? Okay. So This one didn't work because we got 17x. Now this one gives us x squared plus 8x plus 2x plus got plus 1 here. That should have been plus 16. It might be a little hard to read there, but it gives us x squared plus 10x plus 16. Okay, well, that doesn't match. We've got the x squared and the 16, as we know we're going to get. But we got 10x, or we need 8x. Let's try x plus 4 times x plus 4. And that's going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. And what does that give us? If we add the 4x and the 4x, we're going to get x squared. Of course, we get x squared. Adding the 4x and the 4x, we get 8x. And we got 16. And look there, it matches up. So this worked. Now, an important point here is, if I wanted to get x squared plus 9x plus 16, I couldn't do it. Okay, I couldn't do it with whole numbers or integers. Okay, because all I can get, if I got x squared here and 16 here, all I can get if I use integers, positive integers, is this, or this. No way I could get x squared plus 9x plus 16. I'll see more about that later. Okay. Now we're going to try x squared minus 3x minus 10. So can you write out the steps that I did? Write out all the steps, similar to what I did. Don't skip anything, and see if you can get that one to work out. And you know what? I'm going to change this a little bit, because this is a little more complicated because we get negative numbers. So I'm going to change problem because I think we need a little bit more work on this one. I'm going to change this to x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay, so can you follow all the steps? Let's see what you get. Okay, I think we're good with finding errors. Let me just show you, because everybody's got the one non-obvious pair, although it's fairly obvious. Okay, so the way I see people do it, it's 10 times 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Okay. So 5 times 2 is 10. Okay. Now, is there anything else you could divide 10 by? Well, you don't want to forget 10 divided by 1. And you don't actually have to divide 10 by 1 to figure that out. You know 10 times 1 has to be 10. Okay. Now you could try other pairs, but there's no other number that will divide 5. If you've got 5 things in a circle here, or just scattered on the table, there's no way you can divide them into 2 equal piles. Okay, you can't divide 5 up into 2 equal piles, so you can't divide 5 by 2, and you can't divide it into 3 equal piles. It just doesn't work. Now you can try it with a calculator. You could try dividing 10 by 3 and 10 by 4, so forth. Okay, the only other number that's going to work would be 10 divided by 5, and that would be 2. But you get the same pair. 5 and 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. So that's all we can get. So we're going to try 2 possibilities. So see if you can write out the 2 possibilities that we're going to try. and then see if you can multiply. No, you can multiply them. Everybody's doing that correctly. Okay, so we try. We're gonna try. Five and 2. And maybe I ought to not anticipate too much, okay? So what's that equal? That equals x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. And then we add that up, we get x squared, 5x and 2x gives us 7x plus 10. And look at that. It matches. So see that this does match wherever it is, what we're trying to get, okay? So all that works out. We didn't have to try x plus 10 times x plus 1, but it gives us 11x squared plus 11x plus 10. Okay. Now there are actually other options we could try. So let's say we have x squared plus this is x squared minus 7x plus 12. Okay. Now we can break 12 down. We divide 12 by 2, we get 6. And 2 times 6 is 12. We could divide 12 by 3, and we get 4. So 2 times 4 is 12. We could divide 12 by 4. Right, stuff that doesn't make any sense. First of all, this is 3 times 4, which is 12. Now we could then divide 12 by 4, which gives us 3. So 4 times 3 equals 12, except that 4 times 3 is the same as 3 times 4. We wouldn't do this because we get the same two numbers. They're in different order, but the order doesn't matter. We get the same two numbers here. And if we tried to divide 12 by any other number, we would just repeat something that we already got. So if we divide by numbers in order, we're going to find that eventually we get a pair that we've already gotten, and we can stop at that point. Okay, so I'm just going to cross that out. This is redundant. And now we're going to try. Okay, now this gets a little more complicated because we have to get a minus here. So we're going to have to use, for this pair, x minus 2 times x minus 6. Okay, so see what you get for x minus 2 and x minus 6. Well, very good. You nailed this one. We tried this one. This equals x minus 2x minus 6x plus 12, which equals x squared minus 8x plus 12. Well, that's not quite what we want. We want 7x. We're getting close. So now we try x minus 3 times x minus 4. And we get x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 12. That's x squared minus 7x plus 12. And there we got it. Okay. Now, all that works out nicely. I'm going to work a couple more examples, and we're not going to actually work through them here, but I'll show you. So you might need to go back to the video and see these examples, or see similar examples in the open math, depending on whose explanations you like better, and whichever one you like better is just fine with me. Okay, so let's try x squared minus x minus 12. Now we already know that 12 equals 1 times 12. 12 equals 2 times 6. 12 equals 3 times 4. And there are no other pairs of numbers that give you 12. Now, of course, we need minus 12. So if we start with 1 and 12, we could write x minus 1 times x plus 12. That would give us the minus 12 when we multiply it out. Or we could try x plus 1 times x minus 12. Now, without going through all the details, because everybody's doing all right with the details of multiplying these out, if you multiply these out, you're going to get x squared plus 11x minus 12. And here you're going to get x squared minus 11x minus 12. We forgot to write the x up there. But you see that these don't work because we just want a minus x. We don't want a minus 11x or plus 11x. Okay, well, we can then write out x minus 2 times x plus 6, or x plus 2 times x minus 6, because 2 and 6 give us 12. But to get minus 12, it's either got to be minus 2 times 6 or 2 times minus 6. And I've got to stop writing the wrong thing down. Okay, there's minus 6 there. Okay. So this one equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. And this one equals x squared minus 4x minus 12. Neither one of those works, although we're much closer than we were here. We just want a plain old 1x. So let's hope we get that out of either x minus 3 times x plus 4, or x plus 3 times x minus 4. So this one comes out x squared plus x minus 12. And this one comes out x squared minus x minus 12. And it's the last one we tried, but that's just coincidence to the order we wrote them out. Okay. So sometimes if you got a minus here, you're going to have more possibilities. Now, I'm going to say this, but we might not pick it up right now, so this is a good idea to look at the video. If we understand how these numbers are going to multiply out, we're going to have a plus 12x and a minus 1x, right? That's not going to give us a minus x, because we're going to have a plus 12 and a minus 1, okay? This will give us a minus, okay? But anytime this number, the positive number, is bigger than the negative number in this case, we're going to get a positive number here. So we really could have seen before we did anything else that this wasn't going to work. And similarly, we'd see this doesn't work because the 6x is going to be bigger than the negative 2x, and it's going to give us a positive 4x. This is the one that can give us a negative, but the negative isn't big enough. Similarly here, so really we maybe only narrow down our possibilities for these three. But until you start saying that, I would write down all the possibilities, because after a while, you're going to understand what I just said. Okay? And you're not going to want to take as long to do this problem, although you're not going to have to. In this course, I don't time you on how quickly you do the problem. So you have plenty of time to write it out in all its gory detail. Okay. Now, to get a little more complicated, okay, let's say and I got to sneak and jot something down here and make sure I don't do something wrong in my head. I'm going to hide that. I don't want you to see it. We're going to have 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. And the kicker here is we have a 2x squared. That's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm pretty sure that's right. Even if it isn't, we'll see what the process is. Okay, so in order to factor this, we can't just use an x here and an x here. We're going to have to use a 2x here and an x here. So what are we going to do about this? Well, we're still going to have two numbers that multiply out to give us negative 6, right? So we could write this as 2x but I'm going to cheat a little bit. So we see that 2x times x gives x squared both times. And 2 times minus 3 gives us the 6, or minus 2 times 3 gives us the minus 6. Okay, 2 times minus 3 is minus 6, minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. And then we could have 2x plus 1 times x minus 6, or 2x minus 1 times x plus 6. Now I'll just note over here, I didn't do the step, but I can say that 6 equals 1 times 6. 6 equals 2 times 3. Those are two possibilities for numbers that multiply out to 6. Since we need a negative 6, one has to be positive, one has to be negative. We've seen that in this example. Okay, well, let's go ahead and multiply these out. Okay, I said we weren't going to stop and do this, but it's important to do. Let's just do the first couple of these. Let's multiply them out and see what we get. Okay. Okay, here. Okay, so we got 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Now that could be 3x minus 1 times x plus 8. Or it could be 3x plus 1 times x minus 8. Or it could be 3x minus 8 times x plus 1, or 3x plus 8 times x minus 1. And all these are going to give you different results. Okay, and there are a bunch of them. Now that's just using the fact that you write 8 as 1 times 8. Now it could be 2 times 4. So we'd have to do all this again with 2 and 4. 3x minus 2 times x plus 4. 3x plus 2 times x minus 4. 3x plus 4 times x minus 2. Or 3x minus 4 times x plus 2. Those are all possibilities. Now, there's no other way to write 8 as a product of two numbers. Okay, it's either 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. So there are all of our possibilities. We can eliminate some of these possibilities if we just think of what we get if we just do our two terms, our 3x times 8, which is going to be 24x, right? Well, you know, and then we got a minus 1x. So it's 3x squared, and it's going to be minus 8, but we're going to have then plus 24x minus x. Well, we don't have to subtract 1 from 24. We know that 24 is bigger than 1, so this is going to give us a positive coefficient of x instead of negative. There's no way 24 and negative 1 is going to give us 2x. So we can begin shortcutting this a little bit, and we can say, well, you know, this isn't going to work. So that's out. And similarly here now, we'd have our 3x squared and we'd have our minus 8. We'd have a minus 24x plus x. Well, that's going to certainly be negative, but it's going to be negative 23. It's not going to be negative 2. So we can start just looking at these two numbers. I'm just putting quote marks down below my 3x squared and my minus 8 and just concentrating on how these numbers add up. Now here, we're going to get 3x times 1, which is 3x, minus 8x. Well, that doesn't give us minus 2x, it gives us minus 5x. So it's getting closer, but it doesn't work. And this one is going to give us the same stuff, but it's going to give us negative 3x plus 8x. Well, that's going to be positive, a positive multiple of x, so that's not going to work. And so we can, again, just kind of focus ourselves on what happens with the x terms. Does that make sense? Because we know that having a 3x here and an x here, we're always going to get 3x squared. And having two numbers that multiply out to negative 8, we're always going to get negative 8. Okay? Now we're out of time. We could check these out the same way. I'll write it down real quickly. We're going to have a negative 2x and a plus 12x. That's not going to work. Here we're going to have a 2x minus 12x. That's not going to work. Here we're going to have a 4x and a minus 6x. We have a 4x and a minus 6x. Wait a minute. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. That's going to match. So this one is 3x squared plus 4x minus 6x minus 8, which is 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. And there we have a match. That last one's a little trickier. So you might think about it, but I would go to Open Math, look at all their strategies, and come up with a strategy that makes the most sense to you.